Hi everybody, this video is a couple days late. For all you guys who don't know, Jennie Garth's birthday is April 3rd. So my original intent was to do it on her birthday, but I got a little busy on that day, so I'm doing something now. Kind of like, I just want to talk about her and some of my favorite roles that she's done. Okay, so I think all of you know that she was on Beverly Hills 90210 from 1990 to 2000, and she played Kelly Taylor, and she was also reprised the role on 90210, a newer version, you know, where she was a teacher at this point. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some other roles that most people don't talk about, I think. Um, she was in a movie in 1993 or 94 called Star. It was a made-for-TV movie based on the book Star by Daniel Steele. Now, Daniel Steele, for all you guys out there, especially guys, um, Daniel Steele is one of the most famous romance novelists ever. At this point, she sold over 1 million books. So that's huge. I think I've talked about it before, but when I was a teenager, I used to read her books all the time. I used to have every single one of them, and then I quit collecting them because I could make a library of just those books. But one of the books is Star, and Jennie Garth plays the main character, Crystal, and she wants to be a singer. And she's from a very small town, and her dream is to get out of the small town, become a great singer, and live a good life. Okay, before she leaves, um, and spoiler alert, all her dreams do come true, but with twists and turns, of course. Okay, so before she leaves where she lives, she meets a guy, Spencer, and they fall in love, but it's just wrong timing. So he goes off to college, says, I'll be back for you, and she waits. And then he comes back again, and they have a relationship, and she becomes pregnant, and he doesn't know, and but she always waits for him, right? Okay, so um, meanwhile, all this waiting, she finally leaves to go to, I think it was LA, Hollywood, or something, to become a music star, right? So she's gonna do a demo and all this stuff, and she gets involved in this with this producer played by the wonderful Ted Loss, who played the dad on Blossom. So that's where you know him from. And he's done a lot more since then, but I'll get into his credentials a little bit later. Okay? Um, alright. So she gets involved with him, and I would characterize it as a Swangali relationship where he's older than her, and because he can wield the power of her career over her head, he does that, and he's abusive and the whole thing. So I think, like most actors, actresses, okay, once you're in a role for a long time, you can become typecast as that kind of character, right? So one way to defeat that is to take roles that are the complete antithesis of what you were doing before. So he played a good dad on Blossom, so by having this role, showed his range, right? Okay. So she gets involved with him, and he becomes very, very abusive. So she unalives him in the movie. Okay. Um. So she's now alone, and she has a baby, and Spencer, all the while, doesn't know anything. So he finally comes back and realizes that she has a son and realizes that it's his son too, and then they ultimately get together. But okay. So I like this movie because it shows that no matter where your life is now, it can change, and no matter what you think that you're going through, you can achieve whatever you want. But you're gonna have twists and turns, and you should always trust your gut, and that's just good life lessons. But okay, um, yeah. So I like that role. And apparently a lot of the authors like Jennie Garth because I was watching a movie, I think last weekend or something, and it was called Karen Kingsbury, um, A Time to Dance, where she plays the like, okay, she plays a woman on the verge of divorce, but then she stops and halts the divorce because her daughter is coming home from college and they find out that her daughter's getting married. So she doesn't want to start off the marriage on the wrong foot and she doesn't want to tell her kids they're getting divorced, so they put the divorce on hold. Meanwhile, throughout the movie, I mean, of course, at the end, they find out that they love each other and they didn't want to get divorced. Um, but I think that Jennie Garth is really cool because, all right, there's one thing about Hollywood that I know, and I've seen some people grow up from child or teen stars to be adult stars. The thing that separates them from all the other people, and I'm not saying that the other people are bad or something, but it's the ability to transition and also the ability to always be able to book roles or anything. So if you get an author like a Danielle Steele, for example, who likes you, she might cast you in more than one movie. So yeah, okay, and I have an example of that. Now this is not Jennie Garth. However, I'm proving a point here. All right. So there's a movie called Kaleidoscope, and Jacqueline Smith is in that movie. And then a couple years later, in 1994, she's in another movie called Family Album. So that proves my point. And if a writer likes you, and if other people like you and you're easy to work with, then you'll keep booking gigs. And also, another thing I always say, the more hats you can wear, the better off you are because, okay, say they don't need an actor for something, but they need a producer. If you can do that, they'll hire you. So, but yeah, Judy Garth is great because I think sits sits even on a personal level also because she has at least three children and she could have raised them to believe they're all Hollywood and have, that thing. But they seem down to earth and that. So she did that right. And, she's a great person anyway. I've just always liked her because no matter what she's doing, it's very believable when she's on the screen. And she just seems like regular, everyday person. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that. So.